Hi, I'm your host of the Seeking Heaven channel, Tamara Caulder Richardson. I'm a 6-time near-death experiencer as well as a spiritually transformative experiencer. And I talk with spirit people as well as ascended masters. And I'm also an experiencer of spirits, ghosts, fairies, and cryptids, as well as now I'm getting communication from ETs. So I'm known as the Southern Belle Medium. I'm an international evidential medium as well as Christ channeler, and welcome to my channel. Today's guest is very exciting. They're also a spiritually transformative experiencer that's had many experiences like myself, and we had a fantastic time today. So I can't wait for you to hear this. And that would be Bill Letson as our guest today. Now, let me tell you about Bill. Bill was a former fireman who's now retired. He's had a very fascinating, wild ride of spiritually transformative experiences. And this could be done in just one. We have 3 episodes with him. Bill has had near-death experience as well as ayahuasca experiences, a Kundalini awakening, seeing into other dimensions such as ghosts and spirits, and also encountering beings on other planets. So today he's going to be talking about his near-death experience. And one of the things he talks about is how he felt like warm honey during this day was being poured all over his body and how much love that he felt. And he also shares a story about he had the gift of sight, but it has been enhanced through his experiences from his mother. And he'll talk about how his mother, while she was in the hospital, saw gargoyles, protective gargoyles around her bedside. And he also shares this gift where he can see into the spirit world. And he says that our spirit team, our guides, are here to train us for us to listen so we can follow their guidance. So it's going to be exciting. Please join us and watch this and also find out, is it possible to have a positive alien abduction? I don't know about that, but we're going to find out. And also be sure that you see episode 2 and 3, completely different. He just has a lot to tell with his spiritually transformative experiences. In part 2, Bill talks about his Kundalini experience. And 3, he talks about more spiritually transformative experiences. All the links will be down below. And thank you for subscribing, watching, liking, and sharing. And consider being a channel member. It really helps support me financially in the channel. It really does mean a lot because I do have quite a bit of expenses with this, but I'm pleased to do this for you. Enjoy your time with me and Bill Letson. Welcome, Bill.
Hi, Tamara. Thank you.
So, wow, I know that we had talked before about you have had a near-death experience, and I do want to find out a little bit before we get going with that. What were you like before that? The experience itself, and then afterwards, how did that leave you? Because so many people, they don't realize that you have to integrate once you've had a near-death experience or a spiritually transformative experience. You have to integrate back into your world, and it's not always easy. So, first of all, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for the new profession, shaman. That was a surprise that I.
Oh, I thought you were shaman.
No,
Should
I'm
you
not
be?
a shaman.
I don't know. Should you be?
It possibly was something in some past life. I've heard this from others, but that's the first time I was introduced as.
Really? You're
to
kidding.
shaman.
And I even have it on your thing. That is funny. I even said earlier that you're sitting there like a Native American Indian.
Oh well, that's cool because I mean you know things, so.
I do know things. It's a good thing. It's a I don't know how helpful always, but yeah. So I just gave you a title. So
Yeah,
okay.
title of shaman. I love it. Thank you.
You love shaman? I don't know. It sounds kind of exotic. I don't know. So maybe question mark. So we can remove that. But I don't know. I've never said something in a title that isn't so. So maybe this is something that you might look at some point.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
more than a typo because
It might be more than a typo because
it's
yeah.
true. It's true.
Well, look, let's start. And then because as your spiritual journey unfolds, and we'll find out more about you, and people, I think, learn through hearing other people's stories. And so you're so positive, and you have such wise things to say about things. I mean, this is going to be so much fun. So maybe just start with your NDE, that surrounding it, how that happened, and how that left you afterwards, and I'll just go on this journey with you.
Okay. Yeah, I was 1994. I was working as a firefighter in Santa Barbara County, and we went to it as a routine call. A woman was really ill, and a couple of us got really close to her. Kind of, as I climbed across the bed, she exhaled really powerfully, and I inhaled. I actually felt her breath go in.
Oh, wow.
And so I got it, and then the paramedic I worked with, he got sick also. And it came on pretty quick, and a couple
What
days
was
later,
it?
I was really ill,
What did
and
she have, Bill?
she had a really powerful flu, and
Okay.
it was it was kind of an epidemic in Santa Barbara at that time. All the hospitals, had a bunch of people that were suffering, and so I got really sick, and I ended up in an ambulance with my own firefighters. My own buddies were, started some IVs, and I got taken to the hospital. And in the hospital, the emergency room was overwhelmed. And I'd like to say, I haven't said this. I think I said it maybe once before. Is that
Okay.
the week leading up to this day? And I know you can relate to this because what we've been talking about. But the week leading up to that day, it was like every day I kept hearing something that was like a whisper, and it was like, "You need to be ready." Over and over, it was, "You need to get
Really?
ready." And I would say ready, and it says there's going to be a change, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a change. And so I
Wow.
heeded that voice, and my wife even said, "What's going on with you?" Because I took my nieces out all the time, and sat in the movies, and I just watched them in the dark. They're watching The Lion King, and I had tears running down my face because I knew I was leaving or something. And it was just, I don't know, I was just full of this love. And I did it with the dogs, and I treated my wife a little better, I think. And it led right up to this day, and this thing happened. And, when I came out of it, I told her, I said, I knew something was coming.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ended up in the emergency room, and things didn't go very well. These things happen. And I got some drugs that I reacted strongly to. And I just went, I was actually getting ready to go home. I was getting dressed, and my wife said, "You just went flat back on the bed. Your eyes rolled back, and you were gone." And I was gone for like 12 hours. And they pushed the IVs. I got like 11 liters of fluid over the night because what I got was this synthetic morphine, and it vasodilates, all your vessels. So I had I had like an 80 over whatever, 40 or 50 blood pressure going in.
Oh my gosh.
And then that just bottomed out. And
I mean,
my wife said that they couldn't get a blood pressure for a lot of time. And, they put you in the head down position, and they kept pushing the IVs and sent you up to intensive care. And so I spent the night up there. And sometime during that night, I left my body. Some button gets switched or something where it says I've had enough, and the spirit flies. And I found myself, I was not Bill Letson. I was flying through this like star-filled realm. It was all these colored stars, and they were showering me with love. And I felt like I'd been pulled out of a hot, dark, stuffy, damp closet, and I was released. I was this huge, expanded cloud of some sort of awareness, and I knew everything. And I was confused, but I kept seeing all these things were coming and going. There was like formulas and equations and things that were just flying by. Like you couldn't handle them.
Equations?
Yeah, like diagrams, like geometry and stuff.
Like sacred geometry kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was all this information, and it was not, and it was just like all there. You knew everything, and it felt like somebody was pouring honey all over my top of my head, and it was in this incredible ecstasy, this bliss, this I use the word sensual because that's the closest word. This just sensual overload, euphoria was just pouring through all my nerves, and I was flying along, and I kept thinking, how in the world did I forget who I really was? It seemed like it was such a major trick or a joke or something, that I was this guy, this little human guy, this little toy, and that I believed I was this guy, and I wasn't. And I was so happy to be back where I belonged, and I recognized all these stars as other beings, and they were just showering me with love. And I paraded through this for a while, and then all of a sudden I landed somewhere, and it was a solid place. It had indirect lighting. There were tables there, walls and ceilings, and there was equipment there, and there were beings there. There were these three little hooded guys, and they were dark in color, and they were smiling from ear to ear, and they were overjoyed to see me. They were bouncing around, and it was really light, and they were saying things like, "What was it? What was it like? What did you learn? What can you tell us?" And I was confused, and they were giggling. One of them turned. I absolutely distinctly saw this. He turned to the other two, and he goes, "He doesn't remember us," and like it was a big joke, and they all started giggling. And I thought it was really funny. And then there was this other guy who was kind of off to the side, and he was tall, and he was wispy, and he was like he was made out of smoke or vapor or something. Parts of him were separating, and he had this huge smile on his face, and he looked like a scaled down Gumby or a cactus, one of those tall.
Okay.
He looked just like that.
I know what Gumby is.
And when he came forward, when he came towards me, my throat constricted and my chest expanded, and I thought I was going to break into tears and just cry, from love. There was so much love coming from this being that it was overwhelming. And I tell the story, I realized why women cry at weddings and when children are graduating from kindergarten and stuff, because it's love. And, that's a very divine emotion. It's where we come from.
Can I say something that you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, you're saying more wise things. Again, when you were mentioning the honey, I was like, that sounds familiar. So I started looking up scripture, and it's right out of the Song of Solomon, where Christ takes his bride, meaning I guess us, and it says that your Song of Solomon 4:11, your lips, my bride, drip honey, honey and milk under your tongue, and the fragrance of garments is the fragrance of Lebanon. I actually live on Lebanon, not there, but on a road called that. And there's others that talks about that, and they're all from the ones that talk about the honey over the head are all the Song of Solomon and the bride, and you just said wedding.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I know, it's cool. You're doing it again.
You do these videos, and you just tell the truth. That's the only thing a blue collar guy like me can do, and you hope it helps someone.
Yeah.
And some of these guys were coming back, writing in the comment section, just quotes, just like you said, that this is a very known thing, and it's very spiritual and divine, and this pouring of the honey over the head, and well, that's exactly what it felt like, and it was running through, out my arms and down my legs, and I was just absolutely euphoric. I mean, I was not ever coming back here. Never felt like this, and so for your audience, that's where we come from. That's what's on the other side, and it pours into you as soon as you pass from this place. I know it looks very different to us here that stay, but when you lose a loved one, they pass right into this absolute paradise. That's
Did
absolutely true.
did you see like did it look like paradise? When I was there, it looked like kind of like a perfect day. It looked like paradise. Did you see anything? Can you describe it? Did you see?
As far as the vivid colors and the super green grass and all that stuff, I didn't see anything like that. I see that now in my dreams.
Mm,
I have really powerful dreams. This Kundalini, we'll talk about it later, but this
yeah.
Kundalini thing, it's powerful transformation. And a dog, that I had for 16 years, my best buddy, he passed away a few months ago,
I'm
and
sorry.
I see him all the time. It's just this
Dude.
his colors just of his fur they shoot straight out in rays like like a sea urchin. It just radiates, and he's
Yeah.
jumping on me, and it's 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 really cool. So we don't die, and nobody that we know ever dies, and our pets don't die.
So you see it as so that's one of the could be the Kundalini, could be the near death, could be both, but and you'll explain more of that the Kundalini later, but that's more, I guess you'd say, like an after effect, like seeing it, like how you perceive it. I mean, there's so many perceptions, but one of yours you're saying is you see, because we talked about it pre-show about colors, and you see people energy and colors which living people could be their aura, but people that but you see them in. I see angels as colors on my wall in the hall.
Yeah,
I can tell what angels with me by the color. Do you see
right.
them colors? I know you do.
Yeah, I see. It's gotten really strong the last year, but yeah, I see lots of beings, and there's color and light, and this really euphoric emotion that comes with them, when they come close. And
Wow, so you
yeah,
brought
it's
that aspect back then.
well, I think I did, and I went quiet after this event. I kind of dummied up for about 15 years because
Mhm.
I was a fireman, and you don't want to be a kook
Sure.
because then you're out of the promotional process. Uh, you're the
Mm,
kook, that's hiding out in a quiet station and
mm,
having these weird experiences. So yeah, you
got
dummy up, and I think a lot of people do that. They keep quiet.
yeah.
That's why you hear people in their 60s and 70s. There was a guy
Mhm.
last year at the Ions. He was in his 80s, and he told a wonderful story about something that happened in his teens. And I asked him the question. I said, "Do you think you're still here because to tell this story?" And he said, "I absolutely was supposed to tell this story to humanity, and it took me 50 years to figure it out and to find
Um,
to find IONS,
right.
International Association Near Death
Near
Studies."
this, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool because he didn't
Wow.
hesitate. He said, my goal, my purpose in life was to tell this story. And
Wow.
so
And
anyway,
that wow.
pardon me?
No, I was just gonna say, that really goes for anyone's story. There is a story, I think, within all of us, something special that
Yeah.
we hold it close. Everybody, I think everybody's got something special they hold close to their vest, and it's usually something spiritual and touching that they usually don't tell people. And it may not be an NDE, but it could be in the moment they're holding their, relative's hand as they're passing, and they experience angelic behavior or in the room or something, but they a lot of people don't say things.
Yeah. So let's see. I was with this.
So you were explaining it felt like paradise, the honey, the warmth, all of that, feeling and sensation, which I just have to say, just a little this little boop there, that warm honey feeling and whatever. I've had I mean, I call it ecstasy, or it's kind of like not the drug. I don't do drugs. But where I've been in prayer and just being in gratitude. And I felt that warm honey come all over me and the ecstasy, like just nothing but I couldn't think it didn't last long. I wish it lasted longer, but it just felt like bliss. So
Yeah,
you don't
that's
have to be dead. You don't have to be dead for that to happen.
right. That's people who get really powerful meditation, which sounds like when you hit those sweet spots like that, and that's home. That's divine love
Hmm.
pouring into us. And
Yeah.
and with the Kundalini, what you do is it opens you up. We'll talk about that, but it opens you up, and a lot of people, I'm one of them, but a lot of people have trouble if you sit still and let go, and it'll force you to sit still and let go and let it in. Um, you don't ever want to come out of it. I lose hours, days at sometimes when the aurora borealis is really strong. When the
Mm.
sunspot energy, uh, the walls are just rolling with energy and stuff, and I have to lie down, and then that bliss just pours through you, and it's like you're paralyzed in bliss. Um,
Yeah.
you don't ever want to quit. It's
Yeah. Too bad it didn't last long. This is a beautiful state that it's and you I wish I could control I wish I could control it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when's this gonna it's gonna happen right now. I can't
right.
always control that, but, yeah, that bliss state is possible, and you don't have to have an NDE to have it, but just
Oh
think
no,
that's our home. I mean, that's home.
that's home. That's home. And if we've tested this, we've gone. My wife and I waited till like the aurora was going to be strong, like a 5, 6, or 7, and we'll go to some powerful spot like Shasta, and
Mm,
I can't. The whole sky is boiling, and I have trouble walking, and it's just really powerful. So, I mean, if you want to raise your opportunity to experience this, uh, those really strong magnetic sites, powerful sites that are in the on the way
mm,
lines and in those powerpoints, um,
got it.
that's a good place to do it. And when the aurora is really strong, um, yeah, we're closer to home somehow. I don't know.
That's a good point, just to kinda interject. You're right. I know there are places, probably around the world, but around the that I'm thinking right now, like the US, that there are positive portals. That's what they call them, and that would be one. I know in Mount Shasta, but there are I think there's, a couple or, Arizona, but there are places there's supposed to be a place that's supposed to be visited by angels, but, like, for real, like, people do preachings there in North Carolina. It's supposed to be anointed. It's supposed to be some kind of I don't know, one of those positive vortexes, but they're in different places. And so that would be definitely a place to meditate. And also listening to 444 megahertz angelic music.
Right, right. It's all frequencies. Um, and that Sedona, Arizona, you're talking about. I know people who are normal people who said they've gone there and said, I don't know what was happening. I was hiking down by this creek and everything went crazy. And I go, well, you kind of touched heaven there. And,
Oh, wow. That's
it
beautiful.
happened to me accidentally. I was talking to the Maui Ions and I was flying in. And, normally if I sit still, these colors come.
Sean? You mean Sean?
Sean?
Was
Yeah, I
it
think,
it was Sean Lether? He's a
yeah, the
trip. I
lady,
I love it. What now?
is that the
No,
lady who runs the
no,
Ions?
no, he's running the Hawaii, Irons now.
Okay. Yeah, this was the Maui Ions. And,
Okay.
so when I flew in,
Oh,
I'm looking out
okay, I know who you're talking about. Got it.
yeah, it's a couple of ladies. I can't remember. They're really funny. But I was flying in, and the whole ocean went purple, um, and it was really strong. I couldn't like clear it. Normally, you can say, "Well, I'm going to get back into my human thing," and you clear it up. Um, but I couldn't. And when I got to the hotel, the walls had just these lights moving on them and stuff, and it was, um, euphoria. So I went when I spoke at the meeting, I said, "Hey, what's going on here? This place is really powerful." And they're all like, "Silly boy, this is Maui." And they got this big mountain there, this Mount Haleakala. And
Uh-huh.
so a couple of people said, let's go up there. So I went up there, and it was crazy. It was, the whole sky was glitter and just boiling. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
this place is so powerful.
Road
And
trip, Maui. I'm going now.
yeah,
I'm
go up that, you get halfway up that mountain and it just kicked in. It felt like I was getting the flu, and there was just this heaviness right here. And I'm like, oh, what is going on? And it was obvious that, yeah, just these rolling, boiling bubbles of glitter. That whole blue sky was just like I was looking at a boiling pot of water.
So it was opening up. So I know we're skipping now from your NDE, which we'll go back. God, this is like we don't even know each other that well, although we really do. But this is a total conversation with Tamara where we're skipping. So okay, everybody,
Yes,
we're going to come back to the NDE. Now we're we're talking about the Kundalini. I assume that's okay. We'll go back to the NDE in a minute because it's all good. So this is what happened with the Kundalini. You were like going to speak for Maui Eins, and then you're like tripping out on these colors. That's the begin. What happened?
yeah. The Kundalini thing is a gradual thing. It's a
Okay.
slow opening, so that you're not overwhelmed, and you slowly get used to the idea that the world is really different from what we're told in the mainstream is incredibly different, and we are incredibly powerful. We're these huge, eternal, powerful beings, and we don't know it. And it's really fun to wake up to it and try to help others. But yeah, I'm sorry. Your question was,
No, no, no. The Kundalini. We were doing the NDE, and it was like, and then you were saying you got opened up, and this was. You were saying I didn't know if you were finished with that whole going up the mountain. You were seeing the
yeah,
glitter. Did anything else happen? I'm like, I just like the idea of glitter. I want to have a stage name called Cosmic Glitter. I really like that name. I'm obsessed with glitter and sparkles. So what happens? So you're seeing the glitter, you're seeing the colors, you're feeling this right here. It's like really like, I guess, opening you up.
yeah. The glitter is what I think is souls. We're all this beautiful drop of light, with divine light, and we come from a place of pure love. And we're just in these human bodies for a little lesson, and we do it thousands of times. And so yeah,
Right.
if you look into a blue sky,
Hmm.
in about half, they say half the world population at any given time can see just these little darting, like, I don't know, little dark, little darting things of glitter, and you'll probably see it in the periphery to
Hmm.
start, and it may take 10 minutes or so.
Hmm.
But if you just look and give it that 1,000-yard stare and let go, uh,
Hmm.
stop
Hmm.
thinking and stop, trying to make something happen, and you'll see it. And that shows that you're on some path of awakening. We all are, somewhere along that thing. And then there's, as it goes on, if you seek, if you look further, like we were talking about, this is the universe wants us to do that. It wants us to wake up, and and then it'll get more and more powerful. And if I, like, before you and I started talking, I got this really numbing thing, and then the right side of my head gets kind of buzzy, and then there was all these glitter things in the room, and they'll drop in, and they'll just kind of zoom around and stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, you guys want me to talk to Tamara, apparently.
Are
And
they excited
they
that
were
we got to
excited.
talk? Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited now. I mean, because we had like an awesome pre-show. I mean,
yeah, it was something, and I said, well, I don't know because she hadn't come on yet, but it was, it was, these lights are moving around in the room, and
really, after you're talking now, oh
yeah,
man, you're like there's nothing too weird you can say to me because it's my world, so I'm cool with that. Oh, that's really a compliment though. They're spirits, right?
your
They're like,
ancestors, your soul group, they're around all of us. We just don't get to see. We've taken this trick, this thing to stay in these bodies and not be aware, especially in these times,
right,
not be
right.
aware of who we are. And the challenge is, can we find our way back to the divine?
I just
And
saw an orb go past you, and actually that and it wasn't just your screen going in and out. It was like whoop, it's like a little orb. You
yeah,
see
that
what
would figure. That
Yeah,
would
like
figure.
whoop, really fast. So
You know, that happened
uh,
with my mom died last year, and I'd sit with her every day for a
sorry.
few hours. Oh, thanks. And you know, I'd see things, and she was seeing all kinds of things. She had little fairies dancing in the room, and pixies, and children running around, and she had people, you know, and it was wonderful because the last couple of years she was really at peace with the other side, and
It's beautiful.
it was a good. But there was one day I saw this light kind of come in, kind of circle down behind her, and then it ripped around her, and then she said, "Woo! What was that? That was a big one." And I'm like, "You saw it too?" And so we both saw it at the same time.
Oh
And
my gosh, that's cool that
yeah,
she was able to wake up. You know, some people don't when they get older, they stay kind of wooden, but then some people do open up. And I think um it's a natural process, you know, of course,
yep,
being here, being born and dying. And so many times, and I'm sure you probably have seen this too, but when people get older, they sleep a lot, they sleep more. And then they'll wake up and go, "Oh, I had the craziest dream. You know, it was the boyfriend I had when I was 16," and they're like 90. You know, I'm like, that was real.
that was real.
That was real. And then the next day, it's like, "Oh yeah, you know, my aunt, she's been gone 50 years." You know, and you're like, "That was real too." And it's like they're getting the person ready.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely what the other side's doing. And she would, you know, she was always a seer, but it was taboo. We didn't talk about it. But she'd say,
Yeah.
"Can you stay out of helicopters for the next week?" You know, my dad would come to me quietly because your mother had another dream, that kind of thing. And you know, near the end there, the last couple of years, she was seeing all kinds of people walk in the halls, and
Really? Hmm.
yeah, and there was this one white lady that she saw. She could describe everything about her, and there were
Wow.
these children that ran up and down the halls. It was an old folks home, so there weren't any kids in there. And I went to the staff and I said, "Okay, you guys, give me a heads up if you're going to kick her out of here, and you know, so I can get ready." And they sat me down and they said, "Look, everybody in here complains about the kids and how loud they are."
Oh
And
my
she said, "And several people have seen the white lady, and but always just before they die, and or if they're really
God.
sick." And they're like, "The difference is your mom sees them all the time."
Oh my
And
gosh.
I go, "This is the coolest conversation I've ever had." I was so thankful. And they're like, your mom's not going anywhere." In fact, the young staff, the cooks and the waiters and waitresses, they would go to her room and sit with her and ask her what she's seeing and talk to her about her life. So it was wonderful
Oh,
that's how
how precious.
it was cool.
Oh, I mean, you know, we used to be that people would go to people that are older and they would learn from them and they would, right? I mean, that was the way.
That was the way. That was the
That was
good
the
way.
way. See, we remember things like people had common sense. They were so you could leave your doors open. You didn't have to lock your car.
Right.
You know, you were respectful to people, your elders, all of that. So yeah, that's beautiful. They did that. What a memory. Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. So she always, I was just curious to finish this up on this end. Was she always a seer or did it happen more later in life?
No, she was always a seer, and, you know, she as a young person, she got the usual treatment, the electric shock and the
Oh, dear
sanitarium.
God.
And
Dear God.
that was the standard. And, and so it was a, shameful thing, and so it was important. Her mother taught her, "Look, it's important to contact the person, that you saw. If you saw something, you know, traumatic coming their way, it's important that you warned them." So that's what we always got. I got it every couple times a year. My dad would say, "Hey, can you avoid this?" Or "Don't go surfing next week. You know,
Mm,
your mom had a dream."
got it. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, and I think if everyone listened to that gut feeling inside, it's not all the time because we don't have danger lurking around the corner every
right.
second. But I think especially these times, it's a crazy world. If you get a strong feeling out of the blue,
Right.
even if it sounds crazy, you know, I would still listen to it
Right.
because, we're in some ways we're in uncharted territory, and our compass is going to send us in the right direction. So, was he a seer too?
No, but he learned um, to listen to my mom. He
Well, that's
he li-
sweet.
because a few years of dating, and she was never wrong, and he was like,
Mhm,
okay, I've learned that this isn't a bunch of hokey stuff, but we got to keep
mhm.
it quiet. That was always the thing.
Right. Well, you probably used it with being a fireman all those years. It's about, hey, we need more people before we go in, or we need to take these precautions. You probably used it all the time.
Well, not all the time, but there was a couple times where it was a very loud voice. And a woman, Ian's lady, documented this, that it comes in the rear, from the rear and to on the left side into the rear. And that's exactly what I'd hear, like somebody standing behind me, and they'd say, "You need to get your crew out of this room." And it's like, okay, everybody out, and the ceiling falls in like 2 minutes later. That happened. A couple of those things happened, and so that you know, a lot of people are like this. They understand that that voice is real, and sometimes it yells at you, like,
Do you think?
"Move
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that someone said the voices yet. I'm like, now, do
now."
you think that's your guardian angel?
Yeah, sure.
I think it
Guardian
is.
angel, helpers, guides.
Hmm. Your
E-
guides,
e-
your guardian angel. Yeah. Your
everybody.
posse, your spiritual posse.
I've always, you said something interesting. You said that we didn't lock our doors, and I think people were more aware that our ancestors, and we have dozens of ancestors around us all the time, and we have
That's correct.
thousands of souls, soul group or whatever. They're watching us. They're hoping we make their. They're not judging us. They're
Right.
just hoping we make the right choice, and uh, they just erupt in applause when the universe just cheers you when you make that right choice. But
When
they
you
they
live.
don't have the downside. It doesn't exist where we come from, but they do like to see the victories, the higher choices.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great message. I tell people all the time, don't listen to the news. Just stay tuned into divine, that's high rank stuff, energy and a state of joy and peace. Just try to stay connected to that and you'll get your answers. May be right that moment. It may be later on, but if you ask, you will get your answers and you will get direction. I mean, that's pretty, amazing. But I have heard that from others where they're literally told, like they hear a voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
What worked with my mom, she had anxiety, and so the TV, I'd tell her, turn that fear box off, and
mm.
put the Hallmark channel on. It's corny, but it's you know
You
at
know,
least
again, wisdom. Here you go, Bill Wisdom. Bill Wisdom, this is shaman. You don't know it yet. Because I say that I'll put on something. My husband and I have been watching this little spy movie, but it involves like a kid. It's called Alex Rider. It's really good. But anyway, it's a kid in it. I mean, he's in high school, right? And it's very well done. And he's like, "Really? Is this an after school special?" I'm like, "Well, I don't get triggered when I see it. It's not dark.
right,
You know what I mean? I mean, it's more of an adventure." And now we like our kid movie, but you have to be careful because so many things can act as, it can be upsetting or really dark, or you whoa, they took that too far. And I'm not a wimp, but why do I need that negativity when you want to
right,
raise your vibration? And so you laugh about the Hallmark Channel, but you're right, you don't have to worry about it getting weird on you.
right, right. It made her feel good. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
TV,
absolutely.
that last year and a half of her life, the TV was off naturally because there was so much going on in the room. She had.
Wow.
She'd say, She goes, there's a little dog sitting over there, but it has the head of a cat and it has a face of a person. And I'm like, that's a gargoyle. And that's what, in the old days, that's they didn't carve those things for no reason.
Oh my
They
gosh.
saw them, and
So those were protectors, and there's some
I,
kind of a entity
yeah, she said it was smiling and it was a happy creature, but it wasn't.
of this
Anyway,
world. Isn't
no, it
that
wasn't
wild?
of this world.
Well, I have heard fairies. I've seen them like little lightning bugs. I had,
Right.
they're not a lightning bug, and I had to laugh going, "Really, fairies?" I have experienced different things like that, and so now I just go, "Okay." So anything is possible if you keep your mind open. I think there's a lot of people that are really into the fear-based stuff. I'm not saying don't have discernment. Have discernment. If it feels creepy in any way, the answer is no. But if it's just different, but it's not scary, then that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
My
it's
wife
how
and I
you
have my wife and
Mhm.
I have movie night every now and again. And the other night we put some new movie on. It was supposed to be highly rated. And it was adventure and all this, and everybody's yelling at each other, and there's all this backstabbing. And she goes, "I'm switching it," and she brings up, and she goes, "Let's watch Babe." That
The
little
pig.
pig, and it's the cutest story. I said, "Let's watch Babe." So it
it's a
works.
choice you have to make. It does work. I mean, I do that. We don't, this dark paranormal, and they're going to have these, these ghost hunting shows. And my husband used to watch it because it's not a big deal to him. It's not real to me. It's like real. Like let's don't pull that in. And so we're very careful as well what we see and what we put on, and it does affect you. You can look at your energy afterwards and before. Babe doesn't get you jacked up. You just puts you in a feel good mood. Makes you happy. So
Yeah.
let's go back to I want to cover the Kundalini, but I also your mom's story alone. This sounds just
Yeah.
fascinating. I mean, I think that's just amazing. She sounds like a terrific person. I'm just so sorry that all was done to her. That's how they did years
Yeah.
ago. But going back, when you were in your NDE state and you were in this, you said you were out 12 hours?
Yeah.
12 hours. That's the longest I've heard. I'm not saying that there may be someone out there longer, but I was dead on arrival 15 minutes, on and off dead 2 hours, but 12 hours? I've heard four. That's amazing.
Yeah. I was never declared dead. There was no, defibrillation or anything like that. I was just unconscious, and I had a super low blood pressure, like, 40 over zero.
Oh, well, that sounds like near death. Okay.
Yeah, it was near death,
Yeah.
and I think I was talking on somebody's thing, and I think that the body, the human body, there's a lot of mechanics involved in our life here, and
Hmm.
when you get to a certain point, the spirit will fly. And a lot of Native Americans, they've figured this out with some of their vision quest, and they
Yes.
dance for days until
Yeah.
they have a vision or an experience, and they figured this out, that the body, there is a you can take it right up to the edge there, and then our true home just kind
Mhm.
of comes flooding back.
It's quick. It's almost well, it's so quick. Like right now it seems like it's so far away, but when you're on that edge there, it's just like a flip being switched. It's just like boom. I love how you said and the spirit flies. It's kind of like a code word, and the eagle flies, but that's what happens. You just take
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you so you're in this state. You've got some of your are they angels? Are they guides? What do you think they are? Are they ETs? I mean, honestly, I used to not think that, but now I'm thinking that, some of these beings of light, I know some may be people, some may be angels, but I think the world's a lot bigger than it used to be for me before I started this channel. Uh, it's all good, Team God, but
yeah,
Team God's a lot bigger now than I ever thought it was.
yeah. I think there's a lot going on with us. I think there's a lot of wonderful entities that are following us, and I think this is what the alien abduction thing is about. And I think this was where I was in some sort of place like that, where you know you get things done to you, and then you go back, and your etheric body, kind of
Mhm.
upgrades your physical body, whatever changes were made. So something
Mhm.
along those lines.
Oh, that's cool.
Because
I like that. It's like a transformation ethereal station where they kind of upgrade, like switching cable from cable to like, satellite, and then you come back. So it was that's cool. That makes sense.
yeah, it was it was like a workplace, because later on I started having these alien abduction stories, where you're somewhere and they're working on you. And it was the same type of room. It was this clinical, like, place where we're taken care of. And the guys are all sweet. They look like alien things in the movies, the sci-fi movies,
Mhm.
but their demeanor is sweet and helpful and kind. And you can I've asked them to show me what they're doing or what they're using, and
Mhm.
they take a minute. They're busy, and they're processing us, because we're in this amusement park, and they're they're keeping our bodies going, and they're keeping us on track for where we're going, our adventure that we planned, I think. Um, they're
God,
helping change our minds.
I'm
And
I'm
have you
immersion.
there's a movie called
Oh,
The Adjustment Bureau. It was I think it was Matt Damon.
I need to watch that.
You should
Wait,
watch that.
time is that the one with Jane Hathaway where the time thing travel adjustment
Um,
bureau?
yeah, it's this movie where there are these beings around us, and in his thing they give them black suits and stuff, but they're kind of adjusting they change your mind on something. And have you ever had a thing where I ain't ever going to do that? I never want anything to do with that. That's not something I'm going to do. It's not, and then suddenly for some reason you're doing it, and it
Okay.
changes your life.
Okay.
And
I said I
what,
would never wear red lipstick. I did for years. And
see
one
there?
day no, seriously, I did. I said it, and then I went out and bought red lipstick. I have freaking I mean,
See
I
what,
know it's dumb. I know that's a dumb, really dumb example, but I did. I did. I said, I won't do that." And
yeah.
I went and I bought it. I don't even know why I did.
Yeah, see, you just get your mind gets The Adjustment Bureau is a wonderful movie, and then this guy and this girl, the heroes, fall in love, and it's a really good spiritual story.
Okay,
Um,
not to embarrass myself about the red lipstick. Okay, let me tell you why you think, well, why would someone tell you to do that? Because they got to get you used to hearing them and doing what you say you're going to do. They got to start training you to they got to train you on something like go pick up the mail. They got to train you that you'll that's what I meant. It could have been anything. Like go get a pen. I'll never use ballpoint pen and you go buy could have been anything. I think it's
right,
getting you trained to to follow
right,
and follow spirit. We'll just keep it simple. Follow spirit, divine plan, and some people will never do that. I mean, like apparently your mom totally did. She's like, okay, what's next? But and you're that way. But it's better. I mean, if you follow along, because I think there's a greater, better plan than one we could do. Totally. I mean, it's good if we, obviously our higher self or God, if we're interacting, but it is important, I think, to be engaged.
yeah,
So go back. So you're saying, okay, so in between these states, you said they were, so, okay, I just want to get clarification. So you're in your NDE and these beings that you recall later on were very friendly and helpful, but you're saying they look similar to like the abduction thing later on. Did I say that? Is that what you were saying?
yeah. These guys didn't look the
Okay.
same as the abduction people. The guys later looked just like ET, exactly like the ET
Okay. Okay. Got it.
character. But yeah,
Okay.
these guys were like I said, there was these three guys. They were hooded. They had big smiles on their face. They were dark. They had dumpy bodies. And then there was that tall, wispy guy. They looked more like a kind of a trimmed up Gumby.
I hope you enjoyed part one of Bill Letson's wild spiritual ride. And be sure to see episode 2 and 3. I'll have the links below. And share and make comments and like. Thanks for watching. subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.